Truly is no place like Chicago in the summer. It's an easy trip up I-65 if you're coming from Purdue, if there is such a thing as an easy trip on I-65. Anybody who's ever made that drive knows that's not actually reality. This is reality. Purdue's TV schedule and a heavy Big Ten Network presence. As you see, 7 matches here on the Big Ten Network, a pair on FS1 as well for Purdue. Boilermaker program looking to continue this unbelievable run of consistency. 20 or more wins in 16 of 22 years under Dave Shondell. 25 regular season wins last season. That's the most regular season W's of any Purdue team since 2011. Also, 8 straight years inside the top 6 in the Big Ten, which may be the most amazing of those statistics when you start to think about just how deep this league has become. And the aforementioned Dave Shondell is with us. Dave, always great to catch up.
Rick, nice to be here and excited to get this season started.
Let's start with the consistency that I mentioned. For you and your staff, what's been the key to not just winning, but to maintaining that consistency throughout all the different formats that we've seen in the Big Ten throughout your career?
I just think hard work from your staff and from your players and a mentality that you're going to win. I think that's something you have to create in this league, and it's hard. You look at a lot of programs that are trying to get over the hump, and it's really, really hard when you're in the Big Ten Conference, especially when you bring in Washington, Oregon, UCLA, and USC. That job just got more difficult, and we feel like we're starting over ourselves this year, okay? So I'm excited about that, and we're going to have to develop an attitude with our current team that understands you got to win close matches. If we win close matches, we got a chance to have a great year.
There was obviously an expectation, I think, from everyone of what the league would feel like and how different it would feel with the 4 West Coast schools. What was the reality for you?
Not that much different. You obviously bringing in 4 good teams that are going to be on your schedule, but that eliminates 3 or 4 that might have been on that schedule before. So it's still some really, really good opponents. The travel was not that difficult for us. We took a trip out over Thanksgiving weekend to played Oregon, and then we played Washington. We were able to win both those matches and came back right before the NCAA tournament.
Mentioned the wins last year in the regular season. Overall, most wins since 2011 as well. For you, what was the most enjoyable part of the 2024 season? Just
the growth that our team had. Early on, we lost a couple early, actually 3 of them in about a 2-week period. We lost to Kansas, and Creighton, who was really, really good a year ago, and then also Penn State, who happened to win a national championship last year. But we really weren't very good during that stretch. But I thought after that point in time, we got healthy. The team pulled together. I think we won maybe 17 out of 18 during one stretch. We're playing really, really good volleyball. And just to see a team that had some unique characters on it pull together and really have a great season.
You have a different looking roster in 2025. You have 10 newcomers right now on the roster, split evenly between 5 true freshmen, 5 transfers. What are the challenges? And I guess also on the flip side, maybe a little bit of excitement for a staff in having a roster like that.
Yeah, so far no real challenges. I think that there's objectives that we have to meet, and that's going to be play as a team. There's got to be a certain amount of cohesiveness when you have that many new players that you have to build upon and get to know each other. We did a lot of those things this spring that I thought helped because a lot of those players you mentioned were already here. The 5 transfers and 2 of the freshmen came early. We have to make up for some things we lost. We lost some great arms, between Colvin and the 2 outside hitters. Those were really, really good arms that were hard to stop. So we've got to make sure we got some people that can terminate the ball. Got to find some playmakers, people that can keep the ball off the floor and do some things that are really exciting. But I think people will be surprised that we found some athletes out there. And between our 5 freshmen that are coming in, the 5 transfers we got, I think are really, really terrific people that are going to make a difference.
It's kind of interesting in today's day and age of the transfer portal. Nobody's going to feel bad for you if you lose players into the portal because you're going to sometimes be taking other teams' players as well. Yeah. How has it changed everything that you do from a recruiting and retention standpoint?
Well, I can just speak for how we looked at it, Rick, and that was that we identified elite players that were going to be juniors in high school that we've been following. And then when it came to June 15th, which is the first time you're allowed to talk to those players, we felt like if we don't get these 7 or 8 players, we'll fall back on the portal. And if you fall back on the portal, you have a better idea of what you're actually getting, both from an athletic standpoint, from a volleyball skill standpoint, from who they are, because you've had an additional amount of time to watch them. And we have what's called VolleyMetrics, which is a server that has every match that every college player has ever played. So in a short amount of time, when we had some kids hit the portal, I was on that VolleyMetrics and I was watching match after match after match, or at least swing after swing from these players. So I felt like I had a pretty good idea who we were getting, where when you're recruiting high school kids, club players, that's much harder to know who you're getting.
So you're more addicted to VolleyMetrics in that situation than my 15-year-old daughter is to TikTok.
I believe so. I'll guarantee you that.
Probably putting more time in for sure.
I'm not watching any TikTok, if that helps.
Just to clarify for everybody out there, how quickly do those transfer players then have to have an impact for you to have the kind of year that you want?
Right now, I think we're counting on all 5 of them to contribute this year. Lindsay Miller was at Notre Dame, then USC, and now she's at Purdue. She'll be in the middle for us. She's a solid player. Has had a great career already, and we just were fortunate to land her in the middle. We got 2 other middles. Dior Charles from Wake Forest, who's going to be really solid, a great athlete, kind of a Raven Colvin type of a player. And then we have Bianca Lulich, who was out of Miami of Florida, that started for them. All these kids have played a lot of volleyball. And then the two pin hitters. Cash Anderson was at Michigan State. You should be familiar with her. She's playing really well for us right now after off-season surgery. And then Natalie Moravec, who came in from Iowa after sitting out last year and training over in China.
You do have several key returners. Let's not forget about players like Taylor Anderson, who led the league in assists per set last year. She's with you here today. What makes her special?
She's just a unique character. Number one, she's very athletic. She jumps well, she moves well, she's very smooth. Sometimes she reminds me of a guy named Jay Edwards, who you may remember, played Indiana basketball back in the day. Jay never looked like he was working very hard, but he'd end up with 25 points and 9 rebounds, and that's kind of how Taylor Anderson operates the same way. I'm always trying to get her to go the next level, always go the next level. But she does a great job for us, was somehow conveniently left off the all Big Ten preseason list, however. But she's got great hands. She's the best blocking setter in the Big Ten, in my opinion, which we really thrive on. So it does a lot of good things. And her defense has just improved dramatically in the last year and a half.
By the way, didn't have a vote on that all preseason team.
I'm not blaming you.
Just
Not
so
pointing
you know,
the finger
just
at
so
you,
know.
Rick. No.
Kenna Wollard also here, an athlete who you described as one of the best athletes on your team that maybe just needed a little bit more playing time. Safe to assume she'll get that chance this year?
Another extremely undervalued player on our roster, in my opinion. Kenna came in as a left side hitter when we brought in a couple of kids that weren't transfers, but they came on the scene late. She moved to the right side because we needed to get her on the floor. Well, she wasn't a right side player, so for 2 years she went out there and just got better and better and found ways to score points for us. Was really good there last season for us, both as a blocker and an attacker. And now she moves back to the left side. We think she's going to be a 6 rotation player where she'll never leave the floor. She's hitting the ball out of the back row extremely well. Her ball control skills are improving. She's going to be maybe as valuable to us as anybody we have on our team.
So these returners very important. You mentioned the 5 transfers probably need to be immediate impact players. What about the youngsters? 2 of your 5 freshmen came in early. How quickly do you anticipate any of the 5 being able to impact your rotation?
Well, that's going to be entirely up to them. We've got to train them, we've got to push them, motivate them, all those type of things. But it's a big process when you go from playing club volleyball into the Big Ten. I think Addie Tyndall, who I felt like was the best player in the state of Indiana, 6'3", just a monster of a volleyball player, has the potential to be great. How quick she gets there, will be a combination of what kind of training she gets and how she focuses. But she has probably spent more time in our gym. She came early. She's one of those players that came early. She spent more time in our gym than any player we had on our roster. So that's always a good sign when you see that happen.
In looking quickly at your schedule, I think you have Washington and Nebraska at home. You also have USC and UCLA on the road. Those 4 are part of your first 6 matches. You also have important non-conference matches. And I know you don't want to put too much just in the first 6 to 8 games of the conference slate, but it can help set the tone for what the conference season will be. So how do you approach what I know is a really difficult beginning to league play?
Well, I think with a young team, it will have an impact, on what happens down the road, or a new team. We put a big impact on every match that we play. And we start out with South Florida down at the University of Tennessee, and then we play the Vols in that matchup in Nashville. That's our opening weekend. And then you got Kansas and Georgia Tech and Bowling Green, who might be the best team in the MAC. And they follow that up with SMU and Houston, and then you finish, I think, got Butler in there. My son Kyle coaches the Butler Bulldogs, so we'll play them down at Hinkle Fieldhouse. We've got Kelly Miller's team, one of my former players at Ball State, playing in Worthen Arena. And we've also got the University of IU Indy is how they're calling it now. So we got plenty of good teams that are going to play, but we're going to have to win our fair share of those to have any kind of momentum going into the Big Ten.
And you mentioned a couple of unique venues that you'll play in, but that's not all of them because, of course, you get Mackey, one time against Indiana. You also play Indiana first time at Gamebridge in Indianapolis. How cool is that, not just for the state of Indiana, but for all college volleyball fans in that state?
Yeah, you got to give Steve Aird down at IU a lot of credit. They asked me about playing our home match in Gamebridge, and I said, I'm not going to give up 15,000 people at Mackey Arena to play at Gamebridge. So, but Steve, had the vision to see that that's going to be something neat for the sport. And hopefully we can get Indianapolis on board and get a bunch of Boilermaker fans down there, a bunch of Hoosier fans in there, and come close to filling Gamebridge. That would be really, really neat.
Sharing some love for one coach. How about some for another who just retired, and John Cook after his legendary career?
Yeah, John made the Big Ten. I mean, John and Russ Rose were the two people I thought that. I'd throw Mike Hebert in there as well, but those three are the coaches that I thought really made this the conference, the best conference in the country. And when I first got here in 2003, it wasn't the best conference in the country, but over the course of time, those gentlemen really made it go. And John Cook was a little bit misunderstood. He always had kind of a rough look on his face, but John was a visionary. He was one of those guys that wanted to promote the sport as well as coach it, and because of that, the sport has blown up. And because of the Big Ten Network, the sport has blown up. Those are two things. John Cook and the Big Ten Network have been substantial in putting volleyball where it is right now.
Yeah, he told me he was a coach, I think, caught in a Cowboys bot, or you're one of the other way around. We couldn't figure it out, but it was one of the two. Well, let's close with that, Dave. I mean, it's been basically a quarter century for you almost now in West Lafayette, and it's probably impossible to describe the difference in this sport from the day you started till the day that we are at today. But how much have you enjoyed, especially over the last couple of years, this unbelievable ride that women's college volleyball has been on?
It's been fun. You really can't appreciate it because you're just moving all the time. But our matches in Mackey were something to watch. The night we broke the record for the Big Ten attendance against Indiana, and that crowd was just relentless in the gym that night. But so much of this, I think, of my dad. My dad was the head coach at Ball State University and was probably the biggest promoter of the game back in the day to get this thing really rolling. He passed away about 3.5 years ago. But just to know that he made such a difference, and now so many people that have lived that life, that lifestyle, are now doing the same thing, and John Cook was as big as any in making that happen.
Really well said, Dave. Always great to catch up. Wish you and the program the best of luck this season.
Thank you.
We touched on your players a little bit. Let's learn a little bit more about those players. Elena?
Thanks so much, Rick. We're now joined by Taylor Anderson and Kenna Wollard. Welcome to the Big Ten Media Day studio segment. This is going to be your favorite so far. I'm so excited to have both of you here, veterans for this Purdue program. We've already heard about how many newcomers you have on the team. What's kind of been key so far in the spring and summer to help bring those newcomers into the program and show them what Purdue volleyball is all about?
I think we've done a really good job bonding off the court. I think that was a priority for us during the spring, and I think it's something that will show on the court when fans watch.
Yeah, the spring and summer have been very exciting. We spent a lot of time together in the gym and outside, like Taylor was saying. I think we've been making it our goal to try and really get to know one another, and we're going to continue doing that as the season starts.
Kenna, your coach talked about you doing whatever it took to get on the floor and help contribute. Your teammates call you an incredible supporter. How much are you looking forward to a bigger impact role on the court this year?
Yeah, I'm very, very excited. I'm really looking forward to taking on more of a leadership role. I think that's been my dream always as a young volleyball player. So getting the opportunity to do that this year, I think means a lot, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm going to embrace all the opportunities and everything that comes with it.
Taylor, you have a couple years under your belt now running the offense. How have you seen your game grow from freshman year to where you're at now?
I would say definitely my freshman year, I was just kind of thrown in there and I was adapting as it went on. Every game I was learning something new. So I feel like my freshman year, I really look back at it as such a growing period. And I think this upcoming season will be a way different role for me. Just trying to be more vocal with more players that we haven't played with. So I think that's something I've been working on, and I think I've been doing a good job at it.
Your coach talked about you being one of the best blocking setters in the conference and a fantastic defender. What makes you take pride in your defense?
I've always loved blocking. It's my favorite skill by far. So I really that's my skill I want to always get better at. So I think just working hard at it is something that brings me joy and it has success for our team.
Kenna, we just heard your coach talk about the potential of you to be a 6th rotation outside this season. You've been on the opposite a little bit in your previous seasons. What does that next step and that challenge look like for you being able to take on a role of a 6th rotation player?
Yeah, definitely. People may not understand, but going from right side to an outside is a big adjustment, even though it's just the other side of the net. But you're going from more of a 6th rotation full player, so you need to know how to pass and defend in the backcourt. And so I've been going in, getting reps, really trying to hone in on the backcourt defense. And I think that just being a consistent presence for my teammates, both mentally and as a player, will really help me to do that.
I was at Purdue and experienced Mackey in that sold-out arena. How incredible is it to be able to play there in front of your fans?
It's absolutely amazing. We always talk about it. When we run out, we get chills. When you're out there for warm-ups, for our first game, we were kind of wondering, like, is it going to fill the arena? And when we come back out and we run out, the arena was completely full and insanely loud. And it was definitely an experience that, you only get to experience a few times in your life. And we're grateful we get to do that again here.
I drove in 3 hours early, and there was already about 400 people in line.
Crazy,
I couldn't believe
crazy.
it. It was amazing.
You guys definitely have some really rowdy fans. Whenever I've been there for a game, I can barely hear myself think. So it's definitely a great advantage being the home court team. Do you have any matches circled on your calendar this season? I know you take it one match at a time, of course, in this conference, but any specific games you're most looking forward to?
For me, definitely the Mackey games again. Like, playing there last season was so surreal, and I'm really excited to get back in there and have almost 15,000 fans supporting us again.
For me, I would say probably our Mackey game against Illinois. Just being from Illinois, it's always has a huge significance to me. So our Mackey game versus Illinois.
There's 10 new players on your team. How do you continue to build that culture? You guys representing that, how do you instill what Purdue culture looks like?
Yeah, I think as returners and as a few of us have quite a bit of experience the last couple of years, and then also with our coaches, I think we do a really good job of upholding the Purdue traditions and the Purdue standards. And I think that the incomers have done a really good job of listening and understanding and trying to, follow along.
Taylor, you picked up setting a little bit later into your career, around 16. I applaud you. As a setter my entire life, that is so impressive to see the jump you've made in your career. What was that adjustment like, picking up such a key position a little bit later in your club career?
I've always loved setters. Growing up, my favorite players were always setters. And when I had the opportunity to set, I immediately rose my hand and I was like, I'll do it. And I think my coach just trusting in me, really led me to where I am today, especially one of my coaches, Coach Scott, and he's not Louisiana Tech. He is a huge role into why I'm here today.
So prior to that, you were a hitter, and he decided to make you a setter.
He was I trained with him, but my coach, Coach Debbie, she saw me set one day and she was like, "You're setting." And I was like, okay. So that's how it happened.
Love it. How did you guys spend your summer?
A lot of volleyball. We were in the gym quite a bit, and then taking summer classes.
Yes.
But otherwise, hanging out with the girls.
Anything specific you guys focus on individually?
I think just getting as much touches. I think for a setter, repetitions, everything. So that's been a focus for me.
For me, the backcourt stuff, serve receive, a lot of reps in serve receive, and defense, getting to dig some balls. And then also for me, a big focus is kind of just improving my volleyball IQ when it comes to the shots that I am choosing and taking and as an outside.
Taylor, as a setter, I know you have to kind of cater to your hitters with each set that you're giving. You have a lot of new weapons on your team this season. Obviously some returners with Kenna, so I'm sure you're already pretty familiar setting her, but what's it been like in the gym just learning and adjusting to setting all these new weapons?
I'd say a lot of communication. I've definitely done that more. I would say I'm a perfectionist, so even after a set, I'm do you need just a little bit higher? I'm very particular on that, so just remembering what my hitters like, and yeah.
Kenna, I read that you want to be an orthodontist. What makes you interested in that field?
That is definitely the goal. My mom was a dentist, so I think I kind of grew up, idolizing her. In the beginning, I wanted to be a dentist, but it's kind of transitioned a little bit to an orthodontist. But I think that if I can make it there, it would be my dream job by far.
Have you taken any classes to prep for that?
Yes, I am a health science major, and I have a concentration in pre-dental, so I've taken all the chemistries, the orgos, all that.
That's awesome. Taylor, what about you? What are you studying? Do you have any idea what you want to get into after your volleyball career?
I'm double majoring in communications and sociology, and my concentration for communications, PR, and strategic communication. And so I guess something like maybe in the sports PR, like I've enjoyed my classes in that, but we'll see what happens.
You still have time. You still have time.
Yes.
What has been, from both of you, just your favorite part of being a Purdue student athlete and being part of this Purdue volleyball program?
For me, I'd say the community. Like, I love all my teammates so much. They are my best friends, and I feel that love really extends throughout campus. The fans are amazing, and everywhere you go, I've been down in Texas and someone saying "Boiler Up." I think just the Purdue family extends so far.
Yeah, definitely in addition to that, I would say just our culture. I think it stems from our coaching staff and everybody that's a part of Purdue volleyball, but our culture just seems like it's different from everyone else, and it's just a special place. It's special to be a part of, and I've really enjoyed it, and it's amazing.
Any specific goals that your team has set for this season?
I think we talked about it in the spring, but setting a goal of kind of understanding our identity. Like, what do we want our identity to be? What do we want to be known as? And I think that kind of aligns with the Purdue traditions, defensive, gritty team, but I think we want to make it kind of our own this year since it is a different situation for us. But that would be a big one.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Taylor and Kenna. It was great getting to talk with you. I can't wait to watch you all play this season.
Thank
Thank you so much.